So our brains are basically hardwired to make sense of the world, right? But what happens when that wiring gets, well, a little crossed? Today, we're going to dig into two really powerful and super different ways our minds try to figure everything out. One is completely automatic, and the other, well, that's one you can actually learn.
Have you ever done this? You're just staring up at the sky and bam, you see a dragon in the clouds. Or maybe you're looking at a piece of burnt toast and you swear you can see a face staring back at you. We've all been there. It's this universal thing, and it tells us something really deep about how our brains are desperate to find order, even in total chaos.
Okay, so this whole tendency to see things that aren't really there, it brings up a huge question. We're about to explore two completely different ways our brains handle the world, especially when it's faced with stuff that seems totally random.
So on one side, you've got this thing called patternicity. This is your brain's default setting. It's that impulse to just connect the dots, even when there's no actual line to draw. And then on the other side, you have systems thinking. This isn't an impulse, it's a skill. It's about understanding the entire machine that's putting those dots on the page to begin with. All right, let's dive into that first way of thinking. This is your brain on autopilot, basically, and it has a name, patternicity. So what is it? Simply put, it's our tendency to find meaningful patterns in what is actually just meaningless noise. You can think of it as a leftover survival instinct. I mean, for our ancestors, a rustle in the grass could be a predator. It was way safer to assume a pattern, to assume danger and be wrong, than to assume it was just the wind and, become lunch. And believe me, that ancient instinct is still incredibly powerful today. Our brains just do not like uncertainty. They hate it. We crave control, and creating a pattern, any pattern at all, gives us this feeling of understanding, of predictability, even when it's just a total illusion. It's our mind's way of trying to fight back against all the chaos.
But here's the catch, the real double-edged sword. That exact same impulse that lets us see a friendly face in the clouds, it can also lead us to connect totally unrelated events into these huge, elaborate stories. It's pretty much the cognitive engine behind seeing hidden designs and conspiracies where none exist. Our brain is just desperately trying to create a narrative to make sense of all the noise.
But there is another way to see the world. Instead of just automatically connecting random dots, we can actually learn to understand the bigger picture. This is a much more disciplined and honestly, a much more powerful approach called systems thinking.
See, unlike patternicity, systems thinking isn't about finding imaginary patterns in the noise. It's about figuring out the source of the noise. It's the skill of zooming out, seeing all the different pieces of a situation, and, this is the crucial part, understanding how they all interact and influence one another.
So how do you actually do it? It's really a three-step process. First, you just patiently identify all the moving parts. What are all the individual components? Second, you analyze the real, evidence-based connections between them. And third, you use that knowledge to finally grasp how the entire system behaves as a whole.
And this, right here, this is the heart of the difference. Patternicity is like playing connect the dots with a bunch of random points and then calling it a masterpiece. Systems thinking, on the other hand, is like taking the time to understand the machine that's actually placing the dots and figuring out why it's putting them where they are.
Okay, let's make this even more real. We're going to put these two ways of thinking right next to each other in a real-world scenario. Let's see how they stack up.
Okay, imagine a company's stock price just takes a sudden nosedive. The patternicity brain, it immediately goes searching for a simple, hidden story. It's got to be a secret plot. It'll grab a few unrelated data points like trading times and weave this compelling but probably totally false narrative. The systems thinking brain, though, it pauses and asks, okay, what are all the parts of this system? It analyzes market trends, recent company news, what competitors are doing, and broader economic factors to understand the complex web of things that actually cause the drop. So we have these two really powerful modes of thought, and they're always at work in our minds. What's the big takeaway here? What are we supposed to do with this? It really all boils down to this. Patternicity is an automatic shortcut. It links things together that might have absolutely no real relationship. Systems thinking is a deliberate skill. It maps out the real connections to understand an outcome. See the difference? One is basically a guess, the other is an investigation.
Now, the real power here isn't trying to just get rid of patternicity. I mean, good luck with that. It's a deep part of being human. The real power is in recognizing it. It's that moment when you feel yourself jumping to a conclusion and you can just pause and ask yourself, wait,
Is my brain connecting real evidence here, or is it just trying to make me feel better about the noise? Just that awareness. That's the giant first step to choosing a better way. At the end of the day, the world is always going to be throwing a seemingly random collection of dots at us. Events, data, headlines, you name it. So the question this leaves us with is a really important one. Are you going to let your brain just automatically draw lines and create a picture that isn't really there? Or will you choose to do the hard work of understanding the system that's putting those dots on the page in the first place? The choice, always, is yours.